we will christen this table with a fold, because that's how we roll. We just roll on out of the pot, right into the folding day. So I didn't exactly do a proper poker warm-up before this session. That's something that, I don't know, I've been thinking about putting my warm-up on stream and just like doing a warm-up, which might feel a little goofy. You know, it might be like some breathing exercises and like some affirmations or something, or maybe just some kind of flashcard type thing where I want to remind myself stuff that I'm trying to do in my session, right? How I want to think about hands, things that maybe sometimes slip the mind. Little stream business, Hawk Patui, that's what it sounds like. I don't know. You can let me know if there's any other sort of pronunciation going on there. But thank you for the follow. Number 70. The stream tonight is celebrating reaching follower number 50, but I'm happy to celebrate reaching 70 in the same week. It's been a really good week for the stream. You know, I've also gotten doing some thumbnails and editing on videos to put up on YouTube. I do have a YouTube channel, ZenMadman Poker. You can probably see it like that way, or just down below my face. All right, let's focus on the hand. I have bottom pair. I have a runner bad straight draw. I have a nut shot, a nutter gutter. King would give me the nuts, but that's not enough outs, so I'm gonna fold. Probably not a great hand to bluff with, but you know, if I had like a couple backdoor flush draws or something, you know, I was blocking some stuff. I have suited king, I have a pair of deuces, and there's a raise, and I fold. But I was entertaining the notion of overlimping this hand. At some point, I'm going to really kind of nail down what those open limps are going to look like. But at the moment, I have not done that. I guess a belated welcome to ZenMadman's nutty Pot Limit Omaha journey. You'd think 28 days in. This is day 28, the end of 4 weeks. You'd think by now I would like be able to say that really quickly, right? But I haven't rehearsed it, and I didn't even really deliberately. I just kind of like backed into the name, so that's what I'm calling it. It's nutty because the game's a little wild, but also you want the nuts. You want draws to the nuts. You want blockers to the nuts, to represent the nuts, to make opponents fold things that are less than the nuts. So I think Pot Limit Omaha is a nutty game. Okay, Queen 10, 5-6. Suited to the Queen. This might be closer than I feel like. I look at it and I go, oh, it's a fold. But like, I don't know. The 6 and the 5 are decent cards. I think the way that the 6 and the 5 connect with the 10 are going to make this a fold. With the limper, I'm certainly folding. Wouldn't be the worst flop. The 8 would give the 8 card straight, and then we would just need to hit a king or a 4 for that epic 9 card straight. And now I'd have 2 open-enders, right? Except the bottom open-ender hits the top open-ender. So it would be a 12 out straight draw, which would have whiffed. Let's mark this hand in terms of, do I want to raise it if it folds to me? And the 4 is just a little too weak. Make the 4 a 5 or a 6, certainly a 6 or a 7, and I would open raise. All right, this person on my right seems like a pleasure to play with. So, yeah. Anyway, as I mentioned, I'm going to be recording a live podcast right here on my ZenMadman channel on Twitch. Tune in for that if you're interested in. We'll be talking about Marvel and like what characters we might like to see adapted. Some stuff about Star Wars and Harry Potter, and you know, the direction of franchises and sort of ownership, controllership of creators. I don't know, we're gonna kind of wing it. I don't have an outline. I'm not sure if I'm hosting. I'm pretty sure Matthew will host as regular. I'm just a guest. I'm just a frequent guest. Totally not a co-host. That'll be my that's my like tertiary subname. Paul Hoppe A.K.A. ZenMadman. Totally not a co-host. aces get the double. And we fold. Not a lot of action for us so far, but a good deal of action at the table, as always. Game looks fantastic. Let me just resize and make it. I think that'll be slightly more visually appealing. I don't know. You can let me know. I might totally redesign my layout tomorrow. I feel like 28 days, you know, a lunar month, that feels like a good length of time to say, this is my layout, and I'm going to go with it. And the only trouble is I have a lot of stuff to do today, so I don't know if I'll get that layout, you know, fixed up by tomorrow. But we shall see. Further, I have, what is it? Let's do the hand. All right, pair of threes suited to a queen. The 5 connects to the 3s. I'm not going to call a raise with this hand, however, and we can go back to chatting. Yeah, I have a lot to do today. I'm trying to decide whether to keep this format and do this like kind of like power hour in the morning, which I do enjoy. I feel like it gets my day started well. And I think it makes for decent YouTube videos, you know, not like ideal, not super focused, but other options. I mean, there's things I'm going to do for YouTube videos that are not really stream type stuff. But another option is to play 3 tables and have like my picture down in the lower right hand corner and the other 3 tables up there. And I probably wouldn't go into as much depth. I certainly wouldn't be commenting on hands like this one where everybody limped and, you know, the button decided to bet this flop. I don't even really know how to say like what people should have here. Like the limpers shouldn't have a lot of deuce X, but like they shouldn't limp. So it's kind of hard to say. I think the out of position player probably has more flushes than the in position player at that point. They had 6s. They decided to, let's see what the button had, like just for curiosity's sake. But yeah, like I wouldn't be trying to follow every hand, which honestly I haven't really been doing a great job of. Queen 10 9 6 looks kind of like an almost. It looks like an almost. Like make that 6 an 8, even a 7. And I think I'm gonna cold call this hand. It might do well as a 3-bet as well, but with these loosey-goosey players in there, I think I would just flat, try and see a flop, play some poker. Right, so the button, that other hand, had 8 6 5 for a wrap and like a random king. So they just had 4 totally rainbow cards that they're just like, yeah, let's see a flop. I've got 4 cards. I can make a lot of things. You can make a lot of things with 4 cards. Let's get that extra 50 cents just in case. I want to get the full 100. Actually, nobody even had us covered. Oh, now, yeah, the button's reloading. The button knows what's up. That's you know, that's the only player at the table that's like, all right, I'm looking at you. Player number 4, too. The only other player to fold this hand. Reasonable chance that they're a decent player. And I think it's important not to be, like, afraid of decent players. Just be aware. Like, yeah, they're probably trying to play well. And sometimes they're succeeding, and sometimes they're probably not, you know? So I think one of the biggest mistakes people make, particularly when jumping in a game where they're not really comfortable, is to assume that the players who've been playing it for a long time and seem to have any idea what they're doing know exactly what they're doing, right? People often aren't as good as we think they are. And I'm not talking about like world crushers and like, you know, the biggest, best players in the highest limit games. Although even then, like, there's going to be gaps in the knowledge, right? And it's very easy to overestimate like how good any given player is compared to like how good a player could potentially be. So I think giving opponents too much credit for being just like knowing all the things, you know, I mean, I've spent time playing with and studying with, I think, one of the best poker players in the world, who's one of the lowest profile players for players as good as that, very low profile. And the amount of things that they didn't know about the game when they were absolutely dominating the game and were like light years ahead of their opponents, it's kind of staggering. It's like there's so much to know. Poker's a very, very complicated game. Omaha is a very, very, very complicated game. just in terms of like the number of combinations there can be, the number of permutations. So because of that, I think we just have to understand, like, yeah, everybody doesn't always know what they're doing. Yeah, this player behind me is probably playing a coherent strategy. I want to be aware of that. Now, jacks with a six and a deuce, generally, I am gonna fold, but I'm kind of wondering whether hands like this that just have something really obvious they can make. When I'm in with some loose passive players, now they're short stacked, so my implied odds, I'm not gonna win a lot if I make my hand. So that certainly makes this like a little worse. I want to see what types of jacks. My guess is I want to have Jack Jack with some some connectivity. Certainly with an ace would be nice suited to an ace. I think any Jack Jack ace suited. Infinite possibilities except for one. You can't play perfect. Yes, yes, Kevin, that is correct. Kevin E. Poker says in the chat. And I respond quickly, revealing the fact that I'm actually streaming without delay. Oh no! I'm streaming one table of PLO 100. So if one of these 5 players is stream sniping, I could be in big trouble. I always stream with delay, except when I don't. The times I don't are generally because I'm trying to make a banner for a podcast that I'm doing, and I'm trying to put it out at 10 a.m. exactly, well, before the stream starts. So I start the stream with a bunch of yapping. But yeah, we cannot play perfectly. We can't do anything perfectly. The expression practice makes perfect is misleading, right? Practice makes better and better and better. Practice, practice, practice. You get better and better and better. But unless it's like tic-tac-toe, learning tic-tac-toe strategy, I'm pretty sure we can get that perfect, right? The ace-king-queen game, I think that's a thing we can learn to do perfectly. Rochambeau, right? There are games that are simple that have few enough combinations that we can learn to do them perfectly. And we can probably execute roughly perfectly. But PLO's just, any poker game, chess. I don't know about checkers. I imagine backgammon. Like, most games that people play and games that survive, they survive because there's a level of complexity. And by survive, I mean people play them, like, seriously beyond the age of, like, 3. All right, what's going on here? Oh, they've got good blockers if they wanted to bluff the turn and ocean. That's it. I'm sniping for that extra $2 in EV. Yeah. Oh, I got an AK-47, a very violent hand. Suited to the king. This feels on the... yeah. All right. We'll fold it. I don't know. Maybe this isn't open. We open a lot of hands with an ace and a king. I shall tag it. Sniping for that extra $2 in EV. Yeah. The thing is, like, if you actually can literally see someone's cards, that's a really big edge. In a 6-handed game, it's not as big of an edge, but I have played in a 9-handed game. It's story time. At Stones in Sacramento, or near Sacramento. It was in Citrus Heights or something. But anyway, I played in the game with the infamous Mike Postle. And I know for a fact that Postle stole 2 pots from me. I don't know that was because he was cheating. I don't have proof of that. Now, if somebody actually wanted some kind of like real proof that's going to hold up in a court, they should have done some sort of sting operation. I think that would have been the measured approach. But I can understand if you see someone and you're pretty confident that they've been cheating people, that you don't, they don't, what was I talking about? Oh, you don't want to just let them keep doing it. You want to bring it to a stop, right? And I appreciate that. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind what was happening. But and I'm pretty sure the like $300 something million countersuit has either been thrown out or discontinued somehow. But yeah, what were the hands? I had one hand where I had 4-4, and I raised and got like several callers, and the flop came all kings, and I bet, and Postle floated me with deuce 3 offsuit, and then The turn was like a deuce. And I, being the nit that I am, just check folded the turn because I had this read. The read was this like extreme confidence. Um, and if in fact Postle could see my cards and that it was a mere pair of fours, I think floating with deuce three in position might yield a tell of extreme confidence. I mean, knowing someone else's cards is often going to give us a lot of confidence. So it might not have been the wrong read in terms of, like, here's the thing about live reads. We don't get a read on what someone has. We get a read on what someone thinks they has. Think they has? What someone thinks they have. Woo. So I think that's important, you know? Like I one time playing stud, I had some two pair hand, and we get to showdown. Okay, I should probably pay attention to the hands. And I flop like basically totally nothing. I'm gonna check it back. It's a very dry board, and another king comes off. And if the board just bricks off, maybe my nut no pair will be good. Like the whole limit hold'em player in me is like, I have the nut no pair, but I think I can let this one go. But yeah, I was playing against this guy Bob, who was this old anesthesiologist with shaky hands and a penchant for gin, and he was drinking a lot of gin. And we were several hours deep in the night, and I had two pair, and I was like, this dude's got split kings. And reading him, looking at him, I was like, he has not made two pair, he has not made trips. And so I bet for value, and he called, and I was like, I have two pair. And he's like, oh, I just have kings. And he turns his card face up, and he's got three kings, but I guess he thought he was seeing double, so he didn't even know he had three kings. And so I made a good read in terms of what he thought he had, but he didn't know what he had. And, you know, a lot of players are going to overvalue hands, and so we're going to get a read of confidence, but maybe their hand isn't that good, right? Maybe we don't want to fold the second nuts because they think the third nuts is like the nuts. Which in this game, it very much is not. All right, let's see. Kevin said, I'd fold that after seeing the last showdown button didn't log into fold. Yeah, I think I need to play a little tighter with these loose players like behind me, right? When they're in the blinds, I think raising a little looser maybe sometimes is appropriate, but a lot of the time it's just if they're behind me, I'm going to play all these pots out of position. And not even necessarily looser, but I'm not too worried about getting a loose player defending the blind against me. But I do think getting flatted in position is very annoying. It's hard to play those hands well. Anyway, yeah. So, one tabling. This is the 25th hand, rocking that 4 V-pip. Uh, put money in 1 out of 25 hands in like 20 minutes of play. So, I mean, the table's going fast, but sometimes I have questions about the format, so I'm always welcome to feedback. I know some people have chimed in and said that they prefer the one tabling, as it's possible to really there's kind of more time to ask questions and focus on all the hands, and a shorter session length and do the review right after. So I might stick with that, but I've also been entertaining the idea of 2 or 3 tabling and just getting a little bit more action, being a little bit more session heavy, and maybe even just having a totally separate session review. So if anybody has any feelings about that, any thoughts, let me know. And I will listen to what you have to say, and I may or may not change my course of action. But I will integrate that feedback into my decision-making algorithm. So like this spot, right? I mean, the big blind's loose and passive, and the hands that really benefit from getting folds maybe aren't going to play as well, but the hands that can make anything, I think this is good for, I think this is... I don't need to tighten up that much when this player's in the big blind. That's what I'm saying in a really long and slow and awkward fashion, because they're just not going to punish me, right? I want to play hands against them, although I don't want to pay rake. The rake is so high. Let's see. Aces. We're probably going to play these. Let's see. I'd open that against... Yeah, get better at PLO than add tables. Absolutely. I feel pretty comfortable like 3 or 4 tabling for some reason. I think because the games are pretty slow. I just so rarely have 2 hands that I'm playing at the same time. I mean, here we're playing the second hand. Okay, I have aces with a suit and a 10. What do I have right now? I'm not blocking any of the sets or the pair type things on board. The SPR is under 3, which is nice. I do have backdoor hearts, and I have some backdoor straight business. This is the sort of tighter player. I think King is going to be a fair part of their range. And then King and some other cards that they're going to be in pretty decent shape getting it in with. I check it back. The 4 isn't really a good or bad card, I think. I would rather that it was something besides a club. A club seems like kind of the worst. The worst suit, right? Because I'm just totally unblocking that. I'm going to check it back one more time and then call or bet the river for value. Again, the clubs are not what I was looking to see. They check back. With the flush coming in, I'm going to check it back. If it was like a 3 or a 4 or maybe an 8 or even an offsuit 7, I think I bet this for value. You know, I don't know. Where were we on the flop? I had 67% against that hand. So maybe that's a mistake. We're gonna mark that hand and we're gonna talk about it. Oh, no, not pre-flop. Pre-flop was not a point of discussion for that hand, I would say. Review. Let's see. Yeah, gotta play against the fishies. Which hand? Kevin says I'd open that against that kind of BB. Usually I do have the stream delay, and often I have the mental delay of not... Maybe it was this one. Let's see. In the cutoff... oh, did I just fold this? Oh, no. 7-7, 10-4. Cutoff raises. Oh, that was what the cutoff had. I don't even understand what's happening. Oh, I was the big blind. All right, it's obviously not that hand. All right, here we go. Ace, queen, 10, and 6. Pretty close to a raising hand. I don't think it would be terrible, but out of position, you know, probably not pushing a huge equity edge. I think the limper probably shouldn't have that much 3x, but these are the sort of hands that I just don't really get that involved in out of position. I think these are kind of traps. Stuff like this where we flop something that at the moment feels pretty good, but we have to look at it and say, how do I want this to run out? Like, I can be way behind where they have a 3 and I have like runner outs, or a 6, I guess beats a 3. But like, they either have straight draws or just all over cards, and they have position. If they didn't have position, I would feel differently about the hands. But in the trash queen 9 hand on the button, I'll mark that one, and we'll just we'll take a peek at the end of the session. Let's see. How do I tell what my position was? I need to put that in there somewhere. Oh, probably this, right? Player seat 1. I don't know. I can't find it. I gotta add. Maybe I'll add position in you know, the import area of Poker Tracker. So we've got 5 hands so far marked for review. I like to try and make sure that I've got a decent number before wrapping up the session. I like this hand, right? I mean, I've got ace king, I've got a suited ace, I've got a 8 and a 7, those connect. I think this can either be a 3-bet or a call. If I was double suited, I would lean more towards 3-betting. I'm gonna flat and flop pretty darn good. Top pair, not flush draw. Runner, straight draw, I suppose. Top pair, top kicker at that. So now I have a gut shot to the nuts. I have a nut flush draw, and I have top pair. And I feel like I can bet out here. I don't necessarily need to bet that much. I don't know what I should be betting with my range. Maybe on the larger side. But I don't really mind getting called here because I don't think I'm going to get called by straight draws all that often. Now I have kings up. There is a straight on board. Can I get that thin value here? What are they going to call with? I think king jack they would have bet or raised. I do have the 7 blocker, so by having the 7 blocker, I'm going to go for the thin value. If I didn't have the 7 blocker, I would have, I think, checked it back. That's kind of how I'm trying to balance those spots where if I think I'm on the fence in terms of my hand value, like can I, and with the ace not being a suited card, I think clear fold. Let me go to the chat. You and I think alike, but I think it's wrong for PLO. I think we are too afraid of getting stacked. Yep. But the reality is you're supposed to get stacked sometimes in PLO. If by sometimes you mean often, I think I should put the sometimes in quotes. Yeah. This chat is all courtesy of Kevin E. Poker, a wonderful PLO streamer, super consistent. What is it, like day 33 or 34 now? Consecutive 3-hour streams. I'm here streaming like an hour and 30 minutes. And then Kevin goes and streams for 3 hours. So, I'm building up my my vocal stamina to the point where I can stream for 3 hours a day. I think a while back I streamed like 5 or 6 hours, and I thought I had COVID. Okay, I'm gonna fold the 4 because there's a 4, right? If the 4 is a little better card, I think I raise this hand. I my throat got so sore from talking all day. I was like, oh, and my body was aching, and I was like, I need to get it. And they're like, you're fine. Yeah, and it's like you're just you're weak. So we got to know our limitations. And mine is that I can apparently stream every day and feel pretty good about it, but the length of stream at the moment is not too long. If I had some sort of tea or some such, that would probably help. And Kevin says, I'm just a donk with a dream. Aren't we all? But yeah, if you haven't already, go check out Kevin E. Poker on Twitch. Give a follow, give a subscribe even. You can subscribe to my channel now too. If you have Twitch, if you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription every month. And then money just goes from Jeff Bezos, who just hoards it and buys yachts, to me. And I promise I won't buy any yachts. So, or fly to space anytime soon. Although, like, I don't know, Mars sounds really attractive. Like, there's no humans there. I mean, most of my favorite people are humans, but collectively, I don't know about this species. I don't know. Anyway, I really enjoy people individually, and some communities, but collectively, what hell hath man wrought? I don't know. Yeah. Okay, enough of that. Let's see. 10s with a queen and a 9. This player is a limper. Rainbow. I hate it being rainbow. Okay. So, with the suit, I'm raising here for sure. With the big blind, this isn't actually aggressive, right? It's like not a sample size, but it doesn't suggest that they are really like loose passive either. And I know the player on my left, 35-26, yeah, they have 0 3-bets, but I think they're going to cause some issues somewhere along the line. And the player on my right isn't one of those like super loose players. All right, now, however, that's not a hand that we really have any decision points with yet. The suited ace to go with the kings. The deuce connects to the ace, although it's the worst card of those. All right, we do get 3-bet by the player who I was just saying is kind of maybe a little 3-bet happy. The player on my right almost definitely doesn't have aces. I mean, they could. I am actually going to go ahead and 4-bet this hand, which is a non-standard play, but first I have the suited ace, second I have kings, and third, I can maybe get some overlay. I hopefully get the player behind me out. This player's going to come along, and I don't know what the player on the right's going to do, but... I flopped very little, but there's $11 left, so we put it in, and we see what they have. They have all the straight outs, and the other player does have aces. But we basically we win money because of the weird situation. That was quite possibly terrible, but yeah, you block ace ace, easy get it in. That's 100% the reason that I was willing to get it in there. Without an ace, I'm not going to get it in. Sure, the three better can have ace ace, they did, but they're less likely to. The player on my right, I mean, they're a very loose passive player, and I think they were like way at the top of their range. What do they have? 7, 9, 6, 5 double suited. And then look at that flop. Oh man. I mean, they didn't have a flush draw. They had backdoor flush draw, but let's take a look at the equities on the flop again. Oh, well mine, yeah. So I basically got like 32% against this person, I think. But I had the best hands, kings, against them. But yeah, having that overlay from the weaker player made me feel much more comfortable getting it in with kings pre-flop, and of course having the ace blocker was critical. So maybe this session has a that could have gone worse, I guess is how I would put it. Little lucky. So, it's so much easier to remember. I think I can raise this. 4 Broadway cards, no suits. This is generally the type that's a raise fold, as far as I'm aware. Anyone stream sniping, go ahead, go for the 3-bet. And I get flatted by an in-position player who, has these very loose stats, right? But so far, we've seen them have very strong hands. Now, on this board, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my range here. Are they going to have more king-king? I think there's a fair amount of king-king that flats here. I do have a set, which is nice, and I have a nutter gutter. I'm going to check, or rather fairly deep as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and start betting. I don't think I'm really supposed to bet much more than half pot after having checked the flop. The river's not a great card, but like ace 3 isn't that likely. I think I'm going to go for some value again from like a king X whatever. And if they raise me, then I think they just probably have ace 3. I do have the ace, which matters as it blocks the wheel, right? And I think the wheel's much more likely than, what was it, like 6-3 is the other straight. So not certain about that hand. I will mark that one and we'll add that to the pile for post-session discussion review. Let's see, GTO you check 100% of the time since MP's range has way more king and connects with this board. Yeah, that was my feeling. Thank you for confirming that. That's one of those things that like I learned from PLO Launchpad, an upswing poker course, link in the description below if you're on YouTube. But it's one of those things where I don't feel like I don't feel confident in it because I feel like I might be taking something that was more specific, like it might have been about cutoff versus button, and then I'm overgeneralizing it to low jack versus, cutoff or whatever, right? And I think we want to avoid overgeneralizing, but just intuitively it was like, yeah, they're going to flat with a lot of king. Of course, I'm going to have a lot of king as well, but I'm going to have a lot of ace. That's probably going to want to check there. With the king high suit, I'm going to overlimp this. Again, this small blind overlimping spot is something that I'm just kind of playing by feel. Not a lot of GTO sims and how you're supposed to overlimp the small blind because no one's else supposed to be doing that other limping. I flop top pair, which is like, eh. Now I turn a double gut shot, right? A 9 makes me a 10 high straight, and a 5 does make me an 8 high straight because I have the 8, but of course the flush comes in, so we got an easy check fold. But yeah, so I feel like I learned some things, but might have overgeneralized them some, so I'm a little careful in terms of how I use them. Meanwhile, let's see, ace king single suited. I think with the 6 and the deuce, I think I raise this. I think ace king 3 deuce, like rainbow, is the only ace king we fold on the button. Is that correct? I think that's correct. I definitely want to check out the course that that Kevin recommended. run it once from the ground up PLO edition. So I really want to check that out. It looks like it's only like $150. There may or may not be a link in the description below. You know what? I haven't used it yet, so I can't recommend it on a personal level. But I am going to check it out, and then I will report back. Maybe I'll make some little YouTube videos like review of this, review of that, and talk about sort of my personal experience with particular courses, particular pieces of software. You know, I've used Munker Solver and PO Solver and all those things. And, you know, the features are always changing is the thing. A lot of these things are getting updated, and something that seems great at one point might not stay state of the art. So I think more valuable is kind of like, or what I can contribute is more sort of like, this is my perspective. This is PLO Launchpad. I think I've sort of been rewatching it. And there's a lot of things that I feel it leaves out, but at the point I watched it, it was super helpful for me. It was like exactly what I needed to see. So, you know, that's what I would put in a review, right? I'd say, here's where I was in my game, and here's where it got me to. And then I got the PLO matrix, and here's where I was, and here's where it got me to. You can see that here, where I think my pre-flop game has come along significantly. Still a lot of work to do, but that's not so good for the King, Queen, 10, 8, eh? Pre-flop 50-50. Look at that. 50-50 pre-flop. That's amazing. How's that? What? Yeah, I mean, I guess it's double suited sort of rundown. So easy to like think those aces are more powerful than they are. I mean, that's the thing about PLO is we just have to be like, yeah, sometimes we're going to get stacked, right? Sometimes we're going to get stacked. It's not super fun getting stacked. You know what? I'm going to wrap up this table session here, and we're going to go to the review because I think I have a fair number of hands that I really want to say some words about. And of course, we're going to dig in with the PLO matrix and yeah, check it out after that. Okay. I'm not sure why I'm waiting for this hand. I feel intrigued. For some reason, I feel invested. There was a raise. There must have been a 3-bet. I'm going to imagine the out-of-position player 3-bet. They have a huge ace-ace advantage on that board, or as the pre-flop 3-better and getting flatted with those positions. So I would say that, you know, that seems like a very reasonable board to put a sizable c-bet on. I find it weird, like, c-betting like 3/4, though, at an SPR of 4, because at SPR 4, you can just go pot, get it in. Whereas, you know, if you do 3/4, then you have this awkward size on the turn. So maybe if you have really robust equity and you're going to kind of piece it off, but then I'd rather go like half, whatever. I don't know. What do I know? The thing that I know least in Pot Limit Omaha and No Limit Hold'em is bet sizing. That is the thing that I know the least. There's a lot of math to it, and I am pretty good at math. But I haven't put the work in, you know. I mean, I know that an SPR of 4, you can go pot, and you're all in. SPR 13, pot, all in. But, you know, what, at 7, is it like half pot? Or, you know, all those things. I think knowing the percentage that you have to bet on the flop to be able to go pot, get it in, I think that's a thing. I think that's a thing we should know. Just know it, right? Know it cold. All right, this hand. First thing, I'm in the low jack. I've got some rainbow hand. It looks pretty good, but it's definitely not that good. Let's see. My assertion was that I raise fold this. Ace, jack, 10-10, rainbow is a raise fold from the low jack. Okay, so ace, jack, 10-10, rainbow is RFI fold from low jack. Yay. All right, so we got that right. I actually think I probably played this hand pretty well. And then the flop came king 10-4, and I'm going to have king here, but I'm going to fold some king. Somehow I'm hallucinating that this green line is like winding down, and I need to take action. But I already played this hand. It's in the past. So yeah, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. Okay, and then here, I have a set, right? I have middle set. That's great. I would like to bet and get value from a king. We have to recognize our SPR here is like a lot to 1. It seems in the 13 region, right? 10 times 8 would be 85. And then we've got another like 4. Yeah, okay. It's more like 15 to 1 almost. So, you know, we're not going to, I mean, we could go pot, pot, pot and almost get it in. But that's not really what we're looking to do because the flatting range is going to have so much king, king, right? This flatting range is not very wide. They're not supposed to flat with a ton of hands. So I think they're going to have some rundowns. They're going to have some king, king, queen, queen, jack, jack. I'm blocking jack, jack. I don't think ace, ace is flatting here much. They can have some rundowns that hit the king and the 10. If they do, they're going to bet. I don't think this is a spot where I'm like, yeah, I flop middle set. Let's get it in. Like, maybe I'm supposed to get it in if it goes that way. But, like, if they're that interested in the pot, I'm somewhat concerned. So they check back this fairly dry board, which I don't think they're going to check back with top set very often at all. Maybe king, king, queen, jack or something. Or if they have, like, king, king, 10, 4, and they're just like, no, they should bet that. Like, but basically, I think they're going to bet their king, king here almost all the time. So I feel like I have the nuts, but I don't, if they checked back, I think they have probably not a lot of like wraps. They probably, you know, have some like king X that's like pretty good, maybe with some gut shots. But since I checked the flop, maybe I checked the flop with some king, king. I don't know what bet sizing I'm supposed to use here, but half pot felt right. It's also, you know, Omaha dry, right? There's a lot of possible straight draws, but there's no flush draw. So I'm happy with that. I put the bet in and they call, and then the river's a deuce, and like ace 3 got there and 6-3 got there. They don't have 6-3, right? Unless they have like what, queen queen 6-3 double suited or something like that, maybe. But they're very unlikely to have 6-3. Ace 3 is much more likely, but I do have an ace blocker. So when making like thin value bets, I think having those blockers is super important. That's what I try to use for balancing, right? If I'm like, I'm not sure about this spot, am I blocking hands I want to block? Am I unblocking hands I don't want to block? Now here I am blocking hands I don't want to block, like ace king XX, like king jack X, you know, king queen jack, whatever. But I think they probably have, I don't know what they have, honestly. I'm kind of curious what they peeled here with and then folded for half pot on the river. I could have gone even smaller because I feel like their range is very, like I'm trying to eke a call out of a king. But then if I get raised, then it's like, I don't, if I get raised, now I'm feeling worse because I feel like if they raise this bet, they probably have me. If I bet like $2 or $3 as a sort of exploitative, although I think that type of stuff is often GTO actually, but if I make those that tiny river bet, sometimes that can sort of encourage them to take a shot. And then I would feel really gross folding a flopped set when there's just not that much that beats me. But yeah, we take it down, they folded, and we go to the next hand. All right, king 10, 8, 5. Why on earth would I mark this hand? Oh, I must have meant to mark a hand that is next to this hand. Let me briefly see what hand was next to this hand. Okay, the ace king king deuce is what I meant to mark. Okay. Yeah, good read on my own misclicks. Sometimes I think I was marking the one in progress, but then the hand was no longer in progress, so that's what happened. So we'll just pop this up, replay hand, yoink. All right, make it a little bigger. Woo. And this hand, I think this one's pretty interesting. Ace, king, king, deuce with a suited ace. This is just a clear raising hand, right? But it's often going to be a very good 3-betting hand because I have kings, which is good, and I have an ace, which blocks the only hand that's currently ahead of me, ace, ace. So I like this hand a lot. I raise. There's a cold call from the button, who's this sort of player, like, I don't think they're flatting aces, like, ever. Maybe I should think about, like, if a player like this is flatting, are they going to have a lot of ace X, maybe a fair amount of ace X suited? Or are they going to have more like smaller rundownish hands or like, you know, pair with some connectors? I don't know. That's some extra. I'm not there yet. And then a player who's been so far fairly aggressive, but over a minute sample. But still, this is the second opportunity they've had to 3-bet, and they're 3-betting both times, right? So if they were deep, I'm not so sure about this hand. But there's a fold, and then this person calls the 20. And if we look at the stack sizes, There's 24 left with this person, so I need to put in basically 40 against the one person, but then the other person is gonna have like 50 something left after they call off that 24, right? So when I jam, now this person is like gonna call always, right? And they're gonna have some ace. They're gonna have some hands that I'm ahead of, and because I have the ace blocker, this is a much more attractive play because they should just have aces that much less often. The player behind me, now we've got this $80 side pot. So the $80 side pot is like it's like a rebate, right? If I win the side pot and lose the main pot, I like break even. Actually, apparently I win something, but I'm not sure how that doesn't seem to math right. I don't know why it said I won $7. I'm confused, but oh, because then there's more money. That's why, of course. So they check to me, and at this point, it's just like if I can get them to fold any equity. I mean, this pot is like $200 something. If somehow my kings are good and I can get them to fold any equity, or if I get them to fold something that, well, still any equity. Like even if I'm behind the aces, I can spike a deuce or a king, but maybe one of those cards makes this other player a better hand. Like let's just put the money in. They put it in, and yeah, the flop. I don't think there's too much to say. I do have something, and maybe I can get a fold, and if I don't, I'm gonna call a bet anyway. So they did have ace jack 3, so nice hand. They get to win the main pot. The other player just had this beautiful, these types of hands, like they're not the best, but when they get it in against these big pairs, they're doing really well a lot of the time. It turns out that they weren't doing as well because they did not have live spades. They had live spades against me though. And let's look at here, we'll have them give us the money. And then let's look at some equities here. Launch equity calculator. Okay. Let me see. The guy's playing 37 VPIP. He's going to have a lot of stuff. You can't pin it down. Yeah, for sure. For sure. The person behind me. I think over 38 hands, 37-26 could be like 25-20, right? And they're just getting a lot of good hands. I don't remember having any real concrete reads beyond that, but I think having an idea of kind of like how much, how likely it is somebody with certain stats I mean, they could also be a 50-40 and they're running cold. Who knows? So I'm going to just take a look at pre-flop. How am I doing against like heads up against the rundown? I think we're probably going to be 50-50-ish, right? Oh, is this going to crash? No. Yeah, we're about 50-50-ish. I have a very small edge. So getting it in against them maybe doesn't have a lot of utility. But here's the thing. That's what they had this time. Like, they don't have to have a hand that's good, right? So this is like maybe one of the best hands that they can have against my hand. And yeah, let's not mess around with the equity calculator too much in this session. It has a propensity for crashing. I love Poker Tracker 4. Link in the video description below on YouTube. But it's the equity calculator is one of the newer features, and I think it's going to take a minute to. It could also just be my computer. Maybe my computer's like, whoa, that's too much. That is too much. Okay. So here are the questions. Do I open this in the cutoff? Right. I'm pretty confident I open it on the button. So let's take a look. 10-10 rainbow. I feel like this probably is a cutoff open. Yes. Queen 9. Yeah. So this is raise, fold, and cutoff. So against a limper, from the button, Queen 10-10 9 rainbow is RFI from cutoff. RFI fold, right? So we fold to a 3-bet, which I was thinking, but I ended up folding it, right? And I ended up folding it because I felt like the players behind me are kind of aggressive. I do want to fold this to a 3-bet, and I don't know, maybe this is just too tight. Rake's very high. This is not quite borderline. Like, Queen 10-10 8 is also a raise fold. So this is probably too tight. I'll do this. 10-10 8 rainbow is also RFI fold. So this is probably too tight. All right. Okay. And we move on. Ace, king, 8-7. All right, so we're going to look at a squeeze spot versus the button. And I think this is a decent 3-betting hand. Double suited, I'm pretty sure I 3-bet it. Let's see, big blind, squeeze, cutoff. No, big blind. Nah, they don't have the spot. Why don't they have the spot? All right, I'm going to do the closest thing. Squeezing against the cutoff. What do we do with this hand? My guess is it's a flat. Ace, king, 8-7 is a flat, single suited. Ace, king, 8-7, single suited. Good suit is call versus cutoff RFI and cold call, right? So squeeze spot. So that's one thing. I want to test my assertion that double suited, maybe this is a 3-bet, and it is. Okay. We'll say ace, king, 8-7 double suited is 3-bet versus cutoff versus cutoff in squeeze spot. How did I type thumb while saying verse? Sometimes the way the brain works. All right, so I do flat, which is correct, we now know, and 3-betting was correct double suited, so we're happy about that. I flop pretty huge. Having said that, if somebody just like wants to get it in, I probably just have a nut flush draw, right? If somebody really wants to get it in, now maybe I can get it in against like ace, queen, 10 with like the queen, 10 of hearts. I'm kind of curious what my equity is against a hand like that. I check and then check, and now on the turn, I pick up a gut shot, right? So I have a lot of outs to the nuts. I have any heart besides the jack or a 6. Jack or a 6 probably good because nobody's really expressing that much interest in this pot. And a 5 also makes the nuts. So I also have top pair, and I think top pair like might be good here. So I go ahead and bet. I bet half pot. I think maybe I want to go bigger here. I'm not sure, but I felt like I had this like equity robustness where I don't really mind getting called because there's so many good river cards. And like if somebody has a queen high flush draw, I want them to call. If they have a jack with a flush draw, maybe I actually don't mind them folding in terms of equity, but like if they're going to pay off a river bet, like yeah, come along, let's have some fun. Let's play a big pot. Okay, they don't want to play a big pot, and they check it to me on the river. They can have a 7, 5, maybe, right? This straight draw did get there. There's bigger straight draws. There's flush draws. They can just have like a king whatever, like maybe king 6, king 4, maybe like jack 6, jack 4, something like that. So I go for some, thin value. Mostly, I don't want to be blocking the hearts, right? So that's a negative. I am blocking hands that I want them to have because I want them to have these because... Wait, do I want them to have them? I don't, because I'm not trying to get them to fold those. I actually want them to have hands that hit the board, but I don't want them to have 5-7. I think I like this. I think, blocking hearts is kind of not that relevant, I guess. I want them to have some kind of like marginal value hand. I have kings and 8s. I'm betting half pot, maybe a little thin. I like having the 7 in my hand, right? It blocks some straights, a little less likely I get check raised here, and they fold. All right, I like that hand. I feel like I played it well. Aces with a 10 and a 7. All right. Another disturbing lack of thin value here. Let's look at this one. Let's look at this one. Okay. I've raised aces. Cool. My opponent has called me out of position. They're going to have a lot of king-king in their range. I'm going to have some king-king in my range, but I think this is more their flop than it is mine. I am not blocking king-king. I'm not blocking 8-8. I'm not blocking king-8. 3-3 is probably not super relevant in this case, or like king 3 or whatever. So not blocking a king means I can get value from king X, but on the flop, I don't think I get that much out of getting a call from a king. It turns out I do, and I was wrong. But yeah, I think they just have, this flop is like good for them, and I don't have enough. Like if I had a second backdoor flush draw, I don't know. But there's a lot of good turn cards for me, like a 9, a heart, obviously an ace. And then, so I check it back, which I don't know about solver lands, but it feels okay to me, right? I don't feel like these are the aces I want to be betting, because I'm just not blocking the hands I want to block. And I would hate to get check raised because I do have this backdoor nut flush draw and backdoor straight draw. Okay, the 4 isn't a fantastic card. Again, I check. you know, the thing about so the 4 is great in being a 4, right? And it's like it probably didn't improve them. Either they have king king, in which case they could go for a check raise again, but maybe they just want to like get it in quickly. They're at a stack depth where it's going to be very easy. If I bet anything, they can just check raise all in, right? If I bet like even half pot, I think they can. Yeah, they can just rip it, right? Gotta go stream. Kevin says, good work today. Tune in to hear how my 30-60 session went. Spoiler, I won 100. Oh, shit. Yeah, I will definitely tune in. Don't say it right at the beginning, or I'll ask questions. All right, we're going to do a raid on Kevin E. Poker's PLO stream in a few minutes. But first, we got a few more hands, so we're going to focus up on that. Yeah, so the 4, like, it probably doesn't beat me, but they could still be slow playing king king. Maybe I'm overestimating that possibility. Maybe at this point it's like, yeah, just bet half pot and rip the river. But I don't. I check it back, and now on the river, like it's a 7. If it was a 7 of hearts, I would be confused because I'm holding a 7 of hearts. But if it was a 7 of spades, I kind of like it. You know, if it's like a 3, a 4, a 5, or a 6, even maybe not a 5, but like a 6. I think maybe then I finally go for some value. But it's a club. I don't see what I'm getting value from. I don't have any blockers to the flush either. Like, I don't have any blockers to hands I don't want them to have. And somehow, by a miracle, they don't have any of that. They have a hand that made sense, right? King high rundown, which just barely missed 2 pair. And, you know, maybe I can get value from this. Maybe at this stack depth, I'm just supposed to go with it. I'm not sure. But I like my thought process, even though I'm not confident that the conclusion was correct. King 10 4 deuce. I must have seen. What? What is this hand? Why would I mark this hand? All right, we're going to have to check again. King 4 10 deuce. What were we doing? Why did we mark that? King 10 4 deuce. What about the hand before it? Yeah, it's the hand before it again. Okay. I'm not gonna worry about that. I'm just gonna tag the other one. It wasn't really important. We just folded this. We'll proceed. We shall proceed. All right, AK-47. I folded it. Let's look up whether this is a raise or not. The player behind me is a little unclear, right? There is a loose player in the small blind that I want to play pots with. I'd rather, if I were the button, I'd be opening this hand for sure. Like, not even close, though. But in that scenario, I'd be much more likely to do a little bit more of the loose opens. I am now looking this hand up in the cutoff just to know. Ace-King, single suited, 74. Oh, this is just a clear raise fold. Okay. So a little tight. Single suited is RFI fold, bad suit, RFI, we'll say in cutoff. RFI call, only good suit, and in position. Okay, so if I were to get 3-bet, I would fold this, but if I were suited to the ace, I would call only if I was 3-bet by the blinds. If the button 3-bet, I would fold it. So a little tight. And let's see. What did we miss out on? Nothing. We missed out on making 76-4, you know, a number 2 low. So that's not a thing in PLO or Hold'em. All right, Jack 6 deuce. This was one that I was thinking, do I want to, what Jack combos do I call here? Because I'm pretty happy folding here. Big blind squeeze versus low jack. There are 2 very loose players. So if they were deep, having the shot to like flop set over set against them, or like a set against who knows what they want to get it in with, that makes this a lot more attractive. But if I look at single suited jacks, like deuce 6 isn't even close, right? So 6-5 or something is a fold. But in this scenario with those opponents, particularly if they were a little deeper, now all of a sudden I like it better, right? Jack 6 deuce, single suited is clear fold in big blind versus low jack RFI squeeze spot. Okay. So what I'm looking at is like we want, let's see, Jack Jack, single suited, once suited ace, um, Broadway Broadway. Oh, that's not good. Two Broadway cards, um, cars, second pair, uh, king, queen, or 10. I don't know. That's a little too much. Um, other connected stuff. We'll go with that. Okay. So this is just clearly too weak. Clear fold. Moving on. All right. Last hand of the day. Eights with a 7 and a 4. I fold. I don't know what was controversial here. I guess the question, first of all, do I even raise this on the button? Do I raise these single suited eights with like that little 4-7-4? I don't. This is not even I don't even play this from the button. So I don't know what I'm on about here. Single suited is fold from button. So this isn't even close. Period. I did want to see maybe from the cutoff, single suited eights. Do I want to, yeah, with connectors, right? So 8-8-7-6 single suited and 8-8-6-5 single suited, good suit, are RFI call from cutoff. Okay, so I was correct that the hands, let's see, also 10-7 and 9-7, 10-9, 10-7, and 9-7. So I was correct that we want, with eights, single suit, we want some connectivity, right? This is not enough connectivity. The 4 is just a bad card. A 5 would be not good enough either. It would be closer. The 5 combined with a 6 would be good enough. I'm not clear why that's that much better than the gaps at the top, but anyway, wow, I'm going to need a sip of water while I contemplate that one. But yeah, 8-8-7-6 single suit, that's a cutoff raise. And yeah, I think this spot is getting clearer, as are a lot of spots. I am going to, let's see, we'll check in one more time there. Okay, that's it for today's stream. Thank you so much for watching, for sticking through to the bitter end with all this pre-flop checkup. But I think we had a decent number of hands to really explore. Honestly, I still like this format a lot. I feel like just doing this once a day, I can go back and watch the videos on YouTube and like see my progress, and I'm happy with my progress. This is the end of week 4, right? So 28 days. And what have I learned in that 28 days? Like, I don't know, maybe I'll make a video actually about that. But overall, I feel like my sense of what to do pre-flop has improved dramatically. Again, still a lot of room to go, but it's way better than it was. And post-flop, I am much more comfortable kind of sort of figuring out what people's ranges are, but also just saying like, is this a hand I want to get it in? And then just like rip it and flip it. I mean, sometimes it's like, yeah, we have a low SPR. We have a hand that we just have to stack off with, and we're going to win some buy-ins. We're going to lose some buy-ins, and like there's swings. And it's a lot easier to say, having run pretty decently recently. I mean, I did have like a 5 buy-in downer, but then I had a 3, 4, whatever back up. Actually, I guess it was, yeah, like 4 back up. Anyway, whatever. The point being, like, there's swings. The swings I have experienced aren't even big swings for PLO yet, but just kind of embracing that and kind of just like ride the waves, I think that's a big part of PLO. And the funny thing is, I think a lot of people enjoy gambling on some level, but at the same time, that's kind of like antithetical to a lot of the, sort of poker professional or like serious poker player trying to make money. Like we want more sure things, or we want to know that our graph is going to go like this instead of like this, but there's something fun about gambling to some extent. And if you get to be the house, like if you get to say, oh, I'm going to be able to get in here with 52% equity, and they're going to have 48%. And now if there's a 5% rake and all of that's right, that's not really good. But if we get those little edges and they're beyond the rake, right? We escape the rake trap. I think it could be fun, you know, just kind of ride it and like laugh at the downs, right? And you know, enjoy the ups basically, and just try to learn something new every day. That's what I've been doing, and yeah, that's it. So thank you so much for watching on YouTube. Like and subscribe, and on Twitch we are gonna try a raid. Let's see how it goes.